Good morning class and welcome back to your online class after your half-yearly examination. To begin with today's class, we have already completed till chapter 12 for a half-yearly examination and we need to start with a fresh chapter. So this time for your second unit test, you'll be getting 5 chapters for your syllabus. Okay, what are they, and then more details about your unit test 2 syllabus will be given after some days. Okay, so let's begin with chapter 13 today, page number 112. Okay, and it is active and passive voice. Okay, now I'm sure you have come across this chapter, this topic, active and passive voice, but to know more in detail about it, here we are going to talk about voices. Okay, like everyone or we, when we talk, we have a voice. Okay, not just the voice that a low voice, a high voice we're talking about. We are talking about the way of saying it. Okay, so in English we have basically we have two forms of representing our voice. Okay, that is your active, another is your passive voice. Okay, active voice and passive voice. Now the word active itself tells us active is something, it is in a present, or like it's active, yes or no. So even when you are active in any social media, or like when you are having a conversation, you are putting your points on it, so that is you being active. And passive is just the opposite. Okay, not being active or in a past form. Okay, so today that we are going to see is active voice and passive voice, the present voice and the past voice. Okay, let's see more in detail what you have in the book, page 112. Now they have given you example with 2 sentences, that is, he painted a picture. Okay, another is a picture was painted by him. Now both the sentences have the same meaning. Okay, he painted the picture or a picture was painted by him. Now both the sentences have the same meaning but have been constructed differently. Okay, in the first sentence, if you see, the highlighted verb indicates that the subject he, okay, did the action. The first sentence, he, the subject he, okay, is doing an action. Okay, what is that action? Painting, painted. Okay, and what is his action? His action is painting a picture. And in the second sentence, the function of the verb is to show that the subject, a picture, was acted on. And in the second sentence, if you see, we see the function of a verb. Okay, what the verb is functioning. Okay, the verb is functioning a picture. Okay, a picture was painted, that the subject, a picture, was acted on. So that is the difference between active and passive voice. The first one is the active voice, where he painted a picture, where subject he is doing some action. Okay, indicates the subject he, okay, is doing an action. Okay, whereas in the second sentence, what object, what action is been done by the verb. Okay, what has been received. Okay, what action has been received to the object, that is what we have is your passive voice. Okay, now here they have given a definition here. The verb that expresses the action is carried out by the subject is said to be in the active voice. Okay, the verb, that is action, that expresses that the action is carried out by the subject, the doer, okay, is said to be in the active voice. Okay, the active voice is used when the agent or the doer is to be made prominent. And second one is passive voice, is something where the verb that expresses what is done to the subject is said to be in the passive voice. Okay, let's see more. Notice how these sentences in the active voice have been changed into passive voice without changing their meaning. Okay, so without altering any meaning, without making any without altering any meaning, or without changing their meaning, how can we change a sentence from active voice to passive voice? Okay, we have to know, or we have to learn that. Okay, so again they have given one example. The referee ordered a rematch. A rematch was ordered by the referee. Shireen bought a house was bought by Shireen. Let us revise the rules of conversation from active to passive voice. Okay, now we have to keep in mind for that. Let's see what are the rules to keep in mind to transform or change active voice to passive voice and passive voice to active voice. Okay, what are the rules? Now everything has a rule, yes or no? So let's see what are the rules. Here in your book in page 113, they have mentioned 4 rules. Okay, let's see that. The position of the subject and the object of the active verb are interchanged. So here if you see in the active voice, he painted a picture. Okay, so here he is your subject, painted is your verb, and a picture is your object. So that is your active voice because subject is doing some action, yes or no, on a object. Now in passive voice, we change the position of the subject. Okay, he comes at the end, object comes in the beginning. Okay, so here we change the position of the subject and the object of the active verb are interchanged. Okay, the subject of the verb in the active voice is made the object of the verb in the passive voice. Okay, point number 2, in the passive voice the preposition by is added before the object. In the passive voice, second type of sentence, second voice, passive voice, preposition by. Now by is the preposition, you have to know that. So the preposition by is added before the object. So by him. Okay. Point number 3, the number of the verb is changed according to the number and person of the subject. Now we also have to keep in mind, since we have done subject verb agreement, so the number of the verb is changed according to the number and person of the subject. If the subject is like in a plural form, we have to write the verb in plural. If the subject is in singular form, the verb has to be in singular form. So according to the number and person, we have to change the number of the verb. Like he loves me. Now loves is your, actually though it ends with s, but you know it's in a singular form. He loves me. So I am loved by him. Okay. Fourth one, active verbs followed by a preposition retain the preposition. For example, now active verbs, okay, like some of the active verbs are followed by a preposition, it retains the preposition, so it remains the same. Okay, for example, the students laughed at the clown. Okay, that is your active voice. Now if you have to change it to passive voice, the clown comes in the beginning. So the clown was laughed at is a preposition which is in the active voice, and it will remain the same, retain the same in the passive voice as well, at by the student. So that is what, these are the active verbs, okay, followed by followed by a preposition, retain the preposition, it remains the same. Now in page 113, if you see, there is a column there. Okay, now not all tenses take the passive form. Okay, some remains the same. Study the table to understand how the verb is changed into passive voice form in different tenses. Now we know there are a lot of tenses, isn't it? Simple present, simple past, present continuous, present perfect continuous. So accordingly, how does it work? Let's see that. Okay, simple present, in active voice, he reads a book. Passive voice, a book is read by him. Simple present, isn't it? Present continuous, he is reading a book. A book is being read by him. Present perfect, he has read a book has been read by him. Present perfect continuous, he has been reading a book, it will remain the same. Okay. Similarly, simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous, then simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous is there. Please go through that once. Okay. Then there is, in page number 114, you have a note there. Okay, let's see that. If the active verb has 2 objects, okay, keep that in mind. If the active verb has 2 objects, okay, object is to whom the action has been done. If there is 2 objects, so one we call it a direct object or direct object, another is called your indirect object. Okay, either of them becomes the subject of the passive verb. So out of 2, we cannot keep both the object. If you have, this is like some of the cases where if by chance you have 2 objects, isn't it, and we said that object in passive voice becomes the subject, isn't it, changes, comes to the subject position. So if you have 2 object, so one is called a direct object, another is called an indirect object. Now out of these two objects, only one can come to the place of a subject. Okay, both we cannot bring, and the other remain as an object only. Okay, in the passive voice. That is in the case of passive voice. The object that comes after the passive verb is called the retained object. So basically object or that comes after the passive verb, soon after the passive verb, that is called as the retained object, that will remain as an object only. For example, my father gave me a calculator. That is in the active voice. Now in the passive voice, there are, if you see, you have two objects. My father gave me a calculator. Okay, so what are your objects? My father is your subject, clearly. Gave is your verb, is an action. Me, okay, is one object. Okay, because you're giving to something, action has been done to someone. So me, a calculator, is your another object. So you have direct and indirect object. Now let's see how you change it to passive voice. Me becomes I, isn't it? I was given a calculator by my father. Did you see how did they change? Or another way of writing is, a calculator was given to me by my father. So both are correct. Okay, these are the two ways of framing your passive voice from active voice if you have two two objects, direct and indirect. Okay, go through this once. Then there is again a table to understand how imperative sentences are changed into the passive voice. Okay, imperative is again, it's kind of a positive or assertive kind of sentence. Okay, imperative, it's like command. Okay, imperative. So take it away, let it be taken away. How did you put it to passive voice? Let it be taken away. Do it tomorrow, let it be done tomorrow. Open the window, let the window be opened. So go through this once. The imperative sentence in the passive voice takes the form of let. Only when you have imperative sentence. Imperative sentence is a sentence which delivers command. So when you have command in a sentence, you understand it's an imperative sentence. And when you have to change the imperative sentence, active voice to passive voice, we add let, let, let. So let, then you have object after that, then you have be plus past participle. Okay, if the sentence is in the negative form means no, not, never, these are being used in the sentence in the active voice, then again let will be there, but along with let you have not, let not plus object of a sentence, be and past participle. This is the in page 114, just below the table they have given you the way of framing the sentences. Okay, please go through that. Then at the end you have an exercise to work on. You have page 115, one more exercise to work on, but below that you have learn. So let's do that as well. Learn, there is again a table. Did Ravi inform you? Were you informed by Ravi? So this is like, it's an interrogative sentence. And how interrogative sentence, you know it when you're asking a question. How interrogative sentence in active voice is changed to passive voice. Okay, how can you change? So the passive voice is used when the person or thing acted upon is to be made prominent. The passive voice is thus preferred when the active form would involve the use of vague pronoun or pronoun somebody, they, people, anybody as subject. Like, my purse has been stolen. Someone has stolen my purse. That's how we write it. Okay, I was asked my name. They asked me my name. I have been invited to the party. Someone has invited me to the party. So do, does and did are not used in the passive voice. We don't use that. Okay. Also page 116, just below your exercise, we prefer to use the passive voice when the doer is not known or when it is not intended to name the doer. For example, the injured player was carried out. We wish to focus on the person or thing acted upon rather than the doer or the agent. For example, the shop was destroyed by lightning. The subject in the active voice is implied from the context, like he was dropped from the team by the selector. Since the object of a verb in the active voice becomes the subject of the passive form, it means that only transitive verbs can be used in the passive because an intransitive verb has no object. We know that. We have done transitive and intransitive verb. Transitive is something which has an object, whereas intransitive has no object. So see how sentences in the passive voice can be changed into active voice. The work will be finished by the painters in a week. The painters will finish the work in a week. So if you know the way to frame active and passive voice, a simple active and a passive voice, if you know the technique, if you know the order, then trust me, you can not just only transform active voice to passive voice, but you can change passive voice to active voice as well. So it is quite easy. Okay, so let's reread again. Okay, you will reread again this chapter 13. Okay, go through once. Any doubt, let me know, and then we'll start with the exercises tomorrow onwards. Okay, you can also try doing it yourself and let me know if any problem you have. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.